Hey guys, it's Ndoplex, and the Borderlands 4 State of Play has literally just dropped on PlayStation, and I'm going to go ahead and summarize the 10 most important things coming to Borderlands 4, and why I think this could possibly be the best Borderlands game that we have ever had. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. And now, I am just going to keep this footage from the State of Play on in the background, but I am going to have to mute it because of copyright. You know how it is nowadays. But first things first, let's talk about some of these things. Now, one of the key things they mentioned is that they are bringing the loot reward back to Borderlands, and they acknowledged the fact that in Borderlands 3, the legendary drops were massively too inflated, and it took away from the fact of you actually getting a legendary. So they said that in Borderlands 4, we are giving back that incentive to hunt for legendaries, and legendaries actually feeling more special, which is absolutely amazing. That is so good. Something that a lot of people didn't like about Borderlands 3 was the fact that legendaries just didn't really feel legendary, because you were getting them left, right, and center, and they said they are making legendaries feel more legendary and actually making us have to grind for some of these legendaries. So that is definitely super exciting. Now, another thing they talked about was the fact that there is, of course, going to be co-op play in this game. It is a Borderlands game, and we expected that. However, they did say we are going to have split screen available as well for up to 2 players, which, okay, we haven't got our 4 players, but I don't think anyone ever really expected us to get 4-player split screen co-op. However, we do have 2-player couch co-op, which is definitely great. It is something that is still in Borderlands and still something that a lot of people enjoy to do, so I'm very glad to see that they are bringing in split screen co-op for Borderlands 4 once again. Absolutely fantastic there. That is great news. Now, the next thing to talk about is the actual world system that they've got here, and I know that they talked about a lot the fact that it is semi-open world, and by the looks of it, they did give us a quick glimpse of the map, and the fact that you can go up to these sort of beacons, scan them, and get these balloons that pop up into the air, which are going to survey the area. Kind of think of these like Far Cry's satellite towers, those sort of things that unlock areas of the map. Seems like this is going to be a very similar thing, where you're going to unlock portions of the large map to explore. So as you go, you'll uncover more of the map in these kind of cool little interactive areas. And they also mentioned that these do act as fast travel points, and also a way, like if you've ever played Apex, you can actually grapple onto these balloons through this wire and shoot yourself up to get like a bonus glide, which is just absolutely insane. So that is really exciting. This game does definitely seem to be the most open world a Borderlands has ever been. The maps are looking amazing, and it is very, very cool to see them go in this sort of more open world direction. Borderlands has kind of always been quite widely spread, but never so much as it is going to be in Borderlands 4. Now, the next thing to touch on is your vehicles, and yes, vehicles are going to be back in Borderlands 4, and they are also going to have guns with them. This is something that we definitely expected. However, vehicles are going to be so much more easy to summon now. You can summon vehicles with a click of your fingers. You don't have to go to a specific station to spawn them in, or anything like that. You can just spawn these out of thin air. I think it's done by this little buddy that you'll have with you, which is the guy that allows you to access these operating towers. That's going to allow you to spawn in your vehicles as and when you want, and also no extra long jump out animation for our vehicles as well, so you can get in and out of your vehicles super seamlessly, and also get in your vehicles mid-air as shown here. From the clip of him gliding off the balloon, spawns his vehicle mid-air, so the fact that they're not restricting us at all to the spawning of these vehicles is going to be absolutely amazing for traversing these maps, and just going to make everything feel a lot more seamless and fun to do, rather than having to go to these old stations to access your vehicle like we did in all of the previous Borderlands games. Now, one of the most exciting features they talked about, and this slightly ties to my very first point about loot being more rewarding, the legendaries actually feeling more special, is going to be the fact that bosses are now going to be fully respawnable without having to save quit. This is an absolute godsend, especially for our Xbox and PlayStation players that have slightly longer load times. You are not going to have to save quit to reset these bosses. There is going to be a switch that will allow you to reset the bosses in the area to refarm for that legendary as much as you want, which is just going to be absolutely amazing. And now with the loot system, they said that the top tier of loot was legendary. That was their words. However, that doesn't 100% rule out the fact that we might get Pearl Essence in this game. They might just not wanted to have mentioned it to spoil the fun or anything like that. So there is still hope for Pearl Essence, but regardless, the legendaries are truly going to seem legendary in this game, and a lot easier to farm for, but not necessarily a lot easier to get. But quality of life things is always much appreciated. For our next one here, we're going to touch on the menu system quickly, and they have revamped the entirety of the menu. You can see here on the screen, it does look very different to the sort of normal Borderlands aesthetic that we've had all the way since Borderlands 1 right through till now. It has always been the same kind of setup. This is going in a totally different direction. It looks very clean. You can see everything on your screen right away. Now, I don't know how they're going to show things in your backpack. It looks like you might have to tab over to a different tab. But again, it looks like from your menu, you can access your bank as well. So more quality of life. Hopefully we will have a bigger backpack than ever, but just the whole UI system update and stuff like that is all looking very clean and very fresh and feels very new. In Borderlands 3, yes, we had a slightly new aesthetic, but it still felt like the same old Borderlands aesthetic, which quite frankly is outdated. Those massive long lists of guns are definitely very outdated nowadays. We like things bigger and cleaner and easier to navigate, so this is looking very good indeed. The next thing to talk about, of course, is our weapons, and this time round we have 8 weapon manufacturers. We have 5 returning manufacturers and 3 brand new manufacturers. We have, of course, the fan favourite Jacobs coming back with the ricocheting bullets, all that fun stuff. We have Maliwan with their explosive elemental capacities, Vladov with the high mag and high fire rates. We also have Tedior with our Tedior reloads making a return. And also Torg for all of those lovely explosions, which we all love so much. Then we have Order, which they stated are going to be a charge-up weapon with powerful shots. So they might be leaning away from the charge-up on the Maliwan and putting it more onto this Order. They seem to be sort of more railgun type weapons, looking pretty interesting, and hopefully they do some damage to meet the drawback of having to charge them up. So that's pretty interesting. We've also got the Ripper weapons, which seem to be our Bandit or Scav or COV weapons, are traditional sort of bandity weapons in this game, which are going to be your kind of high mag weapons. And then we have another brand new manufacturer called the Daedalus, which is going to be a manufacturer that lets you have 2 different ammunition types. They haven't really explained too much into it, but it definitely looks like a very interesting weapon. You've got ones that, like you saw there, do a precision headshot, and then others that turn into a sort of shotgun mode. So you seem to be able to use 2 different ammo types for a single gun, which is going to be super interesting. Maybe they're straying away from your switch modes on the guns and just actually making that into one manufacturer, which is going to be super cool. The next thing to touch on, however, is that they said that they are going to have multi-parted weapons, as in you might have a single weapon that contains a piece of Maliwan, a piece of Jacobs, a piece of Torg, all combined into one weapon. So you're going to get elemental with explosions, maybe a Tedior grip there that allows you to throw reload it, all tied into a single weapon, as we see on screen here. We've got a Vladov for the high magazine. We've got a Hyperion shield that extends out from in front of you. We've got Torg bullets dealing the explosions, and also then Maliwan, which gives us the elemental as well. So the gun possibilities really do seem absolutely insane in the new Borderlands 4. So that is looking to be pretty ridiculous. And they also stated that the higher the rarity of weapon, the more of these different parted attachments are going to be available for each weapon. So that is really cool. Hopefully our legendaries will have the effects of, let's just say, 5 manufacturers at once. It would be absolutely insane. Some of these weapons I can just see are going to be friggin' ridiculous, and if they bring in pearlescence, those are going to be insane. I cannot wait for it. I'm praying they do, but we have no confirmation on that just yet. The next point to touch on briefly is going to be our Vault Hunter skill tree. We do have the 3 action skills per Vault Hunter returning like it was in Borderlands 3. It is going to be like that in Borderlands 4. However, each of the trees is going to have separate branches to specialize into different things. So think of it as you've got 3 separate action skills, but then for each individual action skills, you have 3 different trees within that. So that is going to be super interesting. Probably going to give us the most diverse builds we have ever had in Borderlands so far, and it's looking to be pretty cool. They also stated how you can swap all of these things on the fly if you want to, and if it comes to a respec, there are machines available for us to be able to respec as well, which is obviously amazing. Thank you for letting us be able to respec. I know that we could in every other Borderlands game, but there is always that slight bit of doubt within my mind that they might not allow us to respec for some unknown reason. That would really suck, but yes, we can. And just to touch on this one moment, this tiny little bonus one on the screen that we see here is normally if you had a minion or say Zane's clone, for example, who would spawn with the weapon that you're holding. And now normally what would happen is when you press your action skill, it will translate what you're holding or whatever element you have to your action skill. Let's say you had that feature in. So I'm holding a cryo weapon. I spawn my action skill, and my action skill does cryo damage. And now if I swapped off my cryo weapon but my action skill was still active, it would still be dealing the cryo damage. However, in this game, it shows that we can dynamically change our action skill as it's happening to mimic our element as we're changing it. You can see here in the screen that we are first on purple, and now I'm not 100% sure what elements we have in the game. They haven't touched on that, but purple is obviously here, and now I don't think purple is slag, but they haven't touched on what it actually is yet, or what the different elemental types are. But we do have a purple here, and then we swap over to a green, which is presumably our corrosive, and you can see it swapping on the fly. And then we can see that he swaps it to incendiary as well, showing that our Maliwan guns again are going to have those different swapping features of elements. So that's just super cool there, showing the different elemental types. And you can see here purple is actually just the base color of the tiger here, and that would be the non-elemental version, as it were. So scrap basically all of what I said about the slag thing before. That's not to say that it won't be in the game, but the purple here is just the base variant of the tiger. And now the last big thing that I want to talk about in this video. God, I really feel like I could talk for the next hour or two on Borderlands 4 and everything we've just seen. But the last important thing I want to talk about in this video is going to be the new movement systems in Borderlands 4. And now, we did hear from before that we do have a double jump, but we can also see here that we have quite a lengthy glide added to our kit as well as the grapple hook that we have added, not just for mobility, but also as a tool to be able to disrupt enemies and pull different components off of enemies. It's looking super cool, but basically our movement arsenal has never been better. We've of course got mantling like before, we have double jumping, we have gliding, we have grappling, we have our vehicles to summon absolutely whenever and wherever we want to. The movement has just got kind of insane in Borderlands 4 now, and I hope this open world feature is going to do the movement justice. It's all looking very fluid. And just in the gameplay behind here, I just wanted to touch my very first impression just into this state of play was just how much they seem to be going back to their roots, a sort of more Borderlands 1 aesthetic. You can see here just everything on screen, to the numbers, to the health bar, everything like that is just looking more and more like the roots of Borderlands, back where we were supposed to be, gritty, grounded, less flamboyant and fun, but still fun and flamboyant in the areas that it needs to be, just not super over the top. So, my god, Borderlands is looking super exciting, and those were 10 of my most exciting things that I feel like I needed to talk about today here for you guys in Borderlands 4. I'm going to have loads more videos on Borderlands 4 to come because I am just super excited about this, and you bet your ass I'm going to be pausing this frame by frame to try and deduce everything that I possibly can from this trailer. But that's going to be about it from me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching indeed. Please consider liking and subscribing, especially if you're looking forward to more Borderlands content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.